Hi everyone, welcome back to Tutorials with Shim. Today you're going to learn how to do a reflection with a little bit of a blur so it looks like someone can actually be above the water and look like someone's jumping into the water with that awesome little water effect. So at this time I'm going to cast my screen. And again, one of the cool things about this is that if you are watching, please make sure that you are actually able to watch this on your Google Chromebook, while you can actually do this on the other computer with Photoshop. All right, so our starting point is always Schoology. So let's please go to Schoology, go to your course, digital photo, and please go to units/projects. Within there, you'll see the purple folder that's labeled Surrealism. Please click on that. And this is where you're going to find the actual JPEGs that you're going to work with today. So please go to Photos for Tutorials. And we did the shadow one last week, so now we're going to click on Reflection, which is the pinkish red one. You'll find 3 photos in there. The very first one is the example picture of what you'll actually be doing. I'm sorry. The second one is the example of what you'll be doing. Then the top one is the background that you'll need. So you'll need to download this to your computer, the background.frog JPEG. Double click on it, right click, save image as, and make sure that you know where you're saving it so you know where you can pull it out of later. And the next one that you will want is the JPEG called Boy Jumping. So again, I just double clicked on the title. Here's the young boy that is jumping in the air. Please right click on it and save image as. Again, please make sure that you know where you are saving the JPEGs so that you know where to find them next. While those are saving, please go ahead and open up Photoshop on your computer. Mine is already open, just kind of help us out a little bit. Right here's the image that you'll be working on. So the original background photo is the beautiful grains with the frog on a tiny reed with the actual reflection of it. The next part that you're adding in is that young boy jumping, his reflection in the water, and add in the ripples so that even though we know this is not realistic, we want to make it look as realistic as possible. And that's what part of surrealism is. So we are going to go to File. We are going to go to Open. You're going to open the files because I want to make sure that you do have them. And then we're actually going to go to File, New. And yes, it's taken a while. I don't even have a lot of things open on my computer either. So while we're waiting for that, hopefully all of you are making sure that you're staying healthy and staying fit. Make sure that you get enough sleep, and enough sleep is not going to bed at 1 o'clock and getting up at noon. You need to try and keep your normal hours as much as possible, because you never know when we're going to start school back up. So again, we have your image right here, boy diving into lake, and then we have frog background. Please make sure that you know where those are. And then go ahead and just push cancel. I want to make sure that you know exactly where to find them. So we're going to go up to File, which is in your top left corner, File, New. The screen that pops up very close to exactly what we've always been working on. I'm going to move my little image up a little bit. Where we want to make sure that we're always working 18 by 12, 12 by 18, because that is still what we can actually print. I know by looking at our background picture of the frog that over here underneath orientation that it's landscape. So let's make sure that we're there. Your resolution, make sure that it is always 300. We're always working in inches. Color mode CMYK because that's for print. And again, that big huge back one where my mouse is kind of dancing around, that is background contents. We need that to be transparent. If not, the work that you're going to do right now is going to totally just be all for nothing. Then go ahead and press create. So again, your background, please make sure that it is that little tiny gray and white checkerboard pattern, because if it is not transparent, and we want it to be transparent. So let's go up to File. And we want Place Embedded. If you are working with the old version of Photoshop, it is just going to be Place. If it is the newer version, it's Place Embedded. Please find the young man jumping, which is boy diving into lake. Place him in, please. And yes, I do know that we are working, his actual photo is vertical, but ours is horizontal. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is to come in here. We're actually going to crop. Yep, you want to place it first. They'll always tell us what to do. Is we want to crop him because we have so much extra going on and we don't need all that extra space in it. So let's go ahead and crop his image as tight as possible. There we go. Once it's done, go ahead, and if there's a check mark up at the top of your screen, which mine is up here, you can click that, or you can hit the Enter key on your keyboard, whatever your preference is. Now, of course, the screen is pretty small. We want to make that image bigger. So please go ahead on your keyboard, Control+. Let's hit that so we can actually see what we're doing. Made just a little bit too big. Then we're going to go over here to our Quick Selection tool. Same process that we did of the girl with the tutu and those cool pattern tights from last week. So again, Quick Selection tool. It is the paintbrush with a dotted oval. Quick Selection tool. Please make sure that when you click on that, depending on what you used last, right now mine's on minus, I do need it to be on the normal one, just the normal one, which is the left, which is our starting point. Let's go ahead, we're going to click on the young man on the inside of him. I'm going to bring it down from his head all the way down to the bottom toe. You'll notice that I did miss a little bit here, so I'm just going to do Control+, I'm sorry. And also, obviously, if you're working on a Mac, it is Command. I'm on a PC, so it's Control. And I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to grab all of his cute little appendages, which are his fingers, because I want to make sure that I get all of those. I'm looking through here. I'm missing a little bit of this elbow over here. So I'm going to go from the inside out and bring it to the elbow. I'm just going to go, I think I got a little bit right there by his hip. And I'm just going to go through and, ooh, I'm totally missing the top part of his head up here. So let's go ahead and get that. And again, I'm working from the inside out. And I'm looking and I'm missing a little bit of his foot here. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of that foot. All right. Then, for some of you, the older version will say refine up here at the top where my mouse is. Mine is select mask, but when I click on it, I need to hold down the shift key. Older versions, you will not need to. The newer versions of Photoshop, you will. So hold down the shift key and select and mask, because this is where we want to refine our edges. Again, we want to make sure that up here, I'm going to move myself over just a little bit. Up here where it says the view mode, again, if you're in the old version, this is going to look a little bit different, which is totally okay. But right now, our transparency is a 100%. These we're just going to bypass because we really don't need those for this step. What we need is in the bottom section here where I'm circling where it says output settings, we need to say output to that down arrow, new layer with layer mask. We need that one so that we can actually clean up our outside edges, because I'm pretty sure we probably got a little bit of the background on it, which we do not. Want some new layer with layer mask, and then go ahead and click OK. So you'll notice it changed just a little bit. Again, I got to move myself up here just a tad. And then if your layers is not showing, which mine is, you want to make sure your layers are showing. If they are not, please go to Window and scroll over to Layers. Window, Layers, no matter what version you have. Because again, we need to make sure that we are on top of the black and white icon, which is our layer mask. That's the one that we need to work with. And again, refresher from yesterday / last week, depending on when you did the tutorials. Over here, the mouse is going our background. Our foreground color needs to be black. our background needs to be white. And then we're going to go up here to our brush tool, because our brush tool is what we're going to use to clean up any of the outside edges. And for the most part, he looks pretty good. But I'm going to do the Control plus. Again, if you are on a Mac, it's Command plus. There's so many versions I have to go through here. So I went to pencil. I don't want pencil. I definitely want paintbrush. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start to clean him. Again, if you're cleaning right now and somehow it looks like you just put a big, huge black stripe on, this is where I need you to look over here in your layers panel. And please make sure that you are selected on the black and white icon, not just the layer, but you need to be selected on top of that black and white icon. So that is the only way that you're going to get rid of some of those images. I'm just going to clean up his ear just a little bit here because we got some of that background going through. Let's check his hand up here because his hand had some, yep, we definitely got some background of that sky in here. So I'm going to come in here and clean up his cute little fingers. Get rid of the background, that sky. Going through. And there's the rest of the items that I wanted to look at, which was the bottom of his foot. So remember getting someone, I wanted to get some of that shadow in there. All right, so now I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to clean a little bit to get rid of that blue sky. And now I'm looking at like, I kind of lost part of his toe. Don't forget there's two ways that you can go back and get that. You can do edit, step backward, totally pops it up. Or you could have done Control Z on a PC or Command Z on a Mac. So I'm just going to come in here, hopefully not cut off his toe this time. But I do want to get rid of that blue because I'm not a fan of that blue right now. Don't forget, just like we would in the computer lab, please make sure that you're keeping your posture good and sit up straight as much as possible. Looking through, that's looking pretty good. And make them smaller again just so I can see them. Not bad. All right, then I'm going to look and see, I'm like, can I really make this a little bit smaller? Can I come in and crop a little bit tighter? Because remember, the amount that you save always makes it better for you and faster. So let's go ahead and crop in. So the smaller the JPEG or TIFF in this instance is, the faster your computer loads it. You never want any excess stuff that you just don't need. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do just like that. All right, I'm going to click yes. Then I'm going to go ahead and I am going to go over to File, Save As. And this is where you're going to do two things. We're going to save it as a Photoshop file in case you need to go back because you forgot to clean up something in the background. So again, we always save as a Photoshop. So I'm just going to do it, boy jumping. And it is a Photoshop file, which I do want. Click Save. I gotta move myself out of the way again. Yes, click OK. Now we need to make sure that we save it as a TIFF because that TIFF is what's going to save that transparent background, which is fabulous. So Save As, we're repeating our same steps. And down here where it says Save As, type, please click and go down to TIFF, T-I-F-F, because again, that saves our transparent background, which is awesome. So please click Save and another window should pop up. Over here, mine is down at the bottom. Again, if you have an older version, it might be up here in the middle area. But make sure that Save Transparency is clicked. And the rest of this we don't need to worry about. We're just going to click OK. And yeah, we want to include those layers. All right, so our TIFF is saved. So now I'm going to go to File, New, and again, we want an 18 by 12, and we do know that our background picture is landscape over here. Again, please make sure that your color mode is CMYK. Good practice, and again, background contents, it's always great to just leave it as transparent. Click Create. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually place in our background photo. So File, Place embedded. If you're a new version, if you're an older version, it is just place. And we want frog background. So please find that. Again, frog background. It is not the example one, it's just the frog background. So it's a little frog sitting on top of the reed with his cute reflection. And it looks size-wise that it is 18 by 12 because it's covering all of it up. Just fabulous. In case it is not, if I'm on that, again, you can do Command T or Control T, and you can hold down your Shift key for proportion, and you can always enlarge it if need be. Mine looks pretty good, so I'm going to make sure that it's placed. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded, and what's going to happen is we're going to actually go to that TIFF that we created because that's what we want. And we're going to place them. So there is our young boy. He is a little bit bigger than the frog. We want to make sure that he's not. We want him to almost be the same size of the frog because that's part of the fun parts that we do with surrealism. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to pull him down a little bit. And then, ooh, did not keep that same proportion. So again, Control Z or Command Z. You need to hold down that Shift key a little bit longer. There we go. And I'm going to move him up. So it looks like he's also jumping off of that reed where the frog is. All right, so we have him. And you can see his layer right over here. We need to place him. And you see the cool layer, which is awesome. So now what we're going to do is we are going to right click on top of that layer, right click, and we're going to duplicate the layer. We are not going to delete it. We are going to definitely duplicate. So please go ahead and press duplicate. And just a copy, which is totally fine. If you want to retitle it reflection, you totally can. I'm just going to keep it as copy because I know what it is. So you'll see two layers here. Boy diving into lake and boy diving into lake copy. Yours will probably be boy jumping. So I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to do the Command T. So I'm on the copy one and I'm going to grab the top right here and I'm no proportion and I'm going to keep going down straight and see how he flips. So he's lined up actually perfect with the top part of him. So I'm going to do that again. So right now he is on top of him, this layer. So this is our original layer over here in Layers Palette. This is the copy that we just made. I'm going to do Control T because I'm on a PC. If you're on a Mac, Command T for free transform. I am not holding down the proportion key. I am just grabbing the top middle button here and I'm going to keep pulling down and dragging with my mouse. And I'm just going to flip him so that he's exactly the same. So we don't have to worry about lining him up again. All right, so that's where we are. And again, do you see his head kind of cut off and here the fingers cut off completely, which is totally cool. Not a big deal at all. So same thing that we had done with our shadow, where we changed the opacity. We're going to stay on the same opacity, the same layer of the copy, which is the reflected one down here. And we're going to go up to opacity and we're going to just change that just a little bit because he shouldn't be as bright as the top part where he's jumping. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm at 68. You do whatever you need to, just so it's not as bright as the top one of him jumping. I'm going to go ahead and do Command plus or Control plus, depending on what you're on. And I'm going to scroll up because I want just the little boy reflection because now we need to make him look like he's kind of smudging because right now it's just reflection. It does not look like he's rippled in the water. So over here in your tools palette, we want the smudge tool. Your blur tool could have been up first, which is a teardrop, sharpen tool, which is a triangle, smudge tool, which is basically the finger like you're about to smudge with your finger on it. So please go to smudge tool. And if I click on here, this is what happens. My smart object must be rasterized before proceeding. Edit contents will no longer be available. And do I want to rasterize the smart object? Yes, I do. So please click OK. Because what's going to happen now is that we can actually go in with that smudge tool and we can smudge him out. I'm actually going to make him just a little bit bigger so I can really see what's going to happen here. You don't want to leave him too small because it will not work. So you will notice that my smudge is pretty small right here. See that little tiny circle that I'm circling around? If you right click, just like we did for brushes before to clean, before we did the refine edge, you can actually make this a little bit bigger because I kind of want it to look as much as I can like the frog reflection. So I'm going to pull this over the size of it just a little bit. I'm going to pull it up and I'm like, ooh, that's a little bit too big, 42. So let's go back halfway down. 25 looks about right. Totally works great. Then hardness, I'm going to not go to 100%. I want it to be blurred just a little bit. So I'm just going to go to about 50 for this one. And if 50 isn't right for the image, we can always go back. Again, last semester we had that where it was like guess and check, and that's what we'll need to do. So we're going to go from the inside and pull out. You'll notice that just a little bit comes in. Then the next stroke you want from the outside, which should be the green, we want to blur that in. And you're going to keep repeating that. So I'm going to go out. And each time you want to do it at like kind of different lengths. So this one I'm going to come out for. Maybe I need that to come out even more. I'm going to do it again. Then I'm going to come in, come out, in, out. Ooh, that one's a little bit too big. Command Z. Actually, there we go. So bring that one in a little. We're going to bring this one out a little so it looks more like that little reflection. So go ahead and go through and do them. If you want to go through all of this, you can. And again, if you want to do different brush sizes to make it look a little bit better, you totally can. So right now I am at 25 for my brush, but I'm looking like there might need to be some little bit smaller ones on here. And again, you can keep going over all of them. So remember, reflections are not perfect. You notice this one has a little bit of that zigzag in there. If you want to try and do the zigzag, you totally can. But I'm looking at mine and it's just making it a little bit too blurry. It looks like poop. So I'm going to do Command Z. So I want to undo those. I can only undo one, so I'm going to go step backward. And I want to step backward one more time because that little one up there. Now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller just so I can see what it looks like compared to him. Like she's looking pretty good. So now I'm just going to swipe through and go through all of these. And you can try and do both sides at once. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. It all depends on the quality, but we definitely need to make sure that we get some of that green going through him. So you might need to grab that green a little bit more and get it. And again, I'm going through the complete object of him because I really need that foot to look like he's rippled against the body also. So you're just gonna keep going, going. I'm actually going to change my size just a little bit bigger so I can have a couple of different versions here. So one through there, one through there. Notice I did not do the whole body like that. Now I'm going to go back down to about 25. 23 totally works for me. And I'm still going to go through here because I do need to make sure that he is completely rippled. We don't have any true edges coming in. And notice that it is not green coming in by his arm here because that background is actually a little bit of an orange color. I do need to make sure that this is rippled, so I need to come in between his head and his arm there. So we can still tell it's a boy because of the image, but we want it to look like it is like a true ripple. Then we're going to do Command minus or Control minus so that you look at the full image and you're like, hey, kind of looks realistic. So please go ahead. This will be the image that you are going to do File, Save as. Remember, you always want to save it as a Photoshop file first. Right now it's asking if I want to save it as a TIFF. I do not. I want to save it as a Photoshop. I'm just going to call it boy jumping or boy diving, boy jumping. I'm definitely going to go back and title it HR, whatever hour you are in, and then put your last name so that we know what it is, and then click save. Yes, and then we're going to go ahead and we are going to save it as a JPEG. Save as, because that JPEG is what we need to send to Chimmy via email. Don't forget, send it to CHMI, Chimmy, at SDMF Schools. It is a JPEG, that is what we want. Click save. Yes, we're just gonna go to baseline. We don't need that right now. Again, posture. I just forgot about my posture a little bit there. And click OK. And then I'm going to minus this out. I'm going to find my email and I'm going to send it to Shem right away so that I can earn credit today. So that is it for reflection. So basically also, if you have not sent in your contact sheets to me, please make sure you do that in Google Docs, contact sheet number 1, contact sheet number 2, because I need to see what photos that you actually want to work with for this project. You're creating 2 new completely compositions. No matter what, you'll have reflection in them or shadow. You're going to have something within it. And you'll need to clean some type of piece. Don't forget, one of the images needs to be yours. And the rest you can, of course, get from the internet. Make sure that you set the URL. Remember, unsplash.com is a great resource because they are not copyrighted images. So they are royalty free for you. And that is it. Again, if you have questions, make sure you can either email me at shimenter@stmfschools.org. And good luck. Have a great day.